Let's get down to business. Overnight, the president slapped a new round of tariffs on America's 60 biggest trading partners, allegedly over forced labor violations. These are replacing the 10% import taxes Trump had imposed back in February. Those tariffs expired at midnight. They were put in place after the Supreme Court struck down his so-called Liberation Day tariffs. Joining me now, Neil Irwin, chief economic correspondent for Axios, and Ron Insana, MS Now business analyst and publisher of The Message of the Markets on Substack. We got to go in two categories. First, I want to talk about the average American, the American consumer. Go.
So this is going to maintain inflation rates. Once you put tariffs back on, even as the others have come off, and the government's actually refunded in the month of June $26 billion to American businesses. Consumers will not see that savings, but these new tariffs now, which are across the board, 60 different countries, and we have 50% tariffs on Canada that are being added, 34% tariffs on Brazil. All this means is that prices of goods and services are going to remain higher than they would otherwise be. It affects the Federal Reserve's decision on interest rates over the long run. So inflation stays sticky, and the American consumer keeps paying more for the goods that we import into the United States.
Okay, Neil, let's talk about American companies, American manufacturers, American retailers. So many finally got their refund checks from the government, millions and millions of dollars since the original tariffs were struck down, and they needed that money. These companies already had thin margins, and they are struggling. Now this administration is saying these new tariffs are about combating forced labor practices that allow cheap production abroad, making it difficult for American companies to compete. Just this morning, I spoke to an American retail business down south that were like, are you kidding me? We do not have the ability to have production here. It's wildly expensive. And the American consumer is already saying prices are too damn high. We cannot pay these prices. Who is listening to the president saying this? Who is the voting bloc? Who's the lobbying group? Who's the businesses that are saying, right on, Mr. President, we need this?
There's not a lot out there. Look, it's kind of been whack-a-mole with the legal system. What the administration's been doing is finding these different authorities in different corners of the trade laws on the statutes, many of them never used before, kind of obscure, untested, and just using those to declare tariffs. 301, the legal term of art used for this one, is more tried and true, but the excuse, the justification here is pretty curious, that forced labor, including in 60 countries around the world, in Australia and New Zealand and Japan, the EU, it really doesn't hold up to a lot of scrutiny. At the same time, they're kind of running ahead of the courts. And every time the court strikes something down, they find a new legal authority to use to try and get a new tariff. And we've ended up in about the same place, about a 12% weighted average tariff rate. It was 3% before the president took office. Yeah.
Okay, but Ron, even if they successfully play legal whack-a-mole and get them through, who are they doing it for? It's not for American business, and it's not for the American consumer.
No, again, and you and I have talked about this now for a couple of years. The president has this underlying philosophical belief that the U.S. was at its greatest when our only source of revenue was tariffs, not income taxes, and that this somehow made the country great and brought manufacturing to the United States. What we've seen in the last year, Stephanie, the loss of 100,000 manufacturing jobs as these tariffs were put in place. So either philosophically, intellectually, practically, none of this works the way the president thinks.
Okay, but Ron, we've got this K-shaped economy, and I get it. The rich have gotten richer. When they look at their 401ks, they're having a party. When they look at the value of their houses. But when we need the economy to function, right, when people are out there buying back-to-school clothes and backpacks and filling their cars with gas and going to the grocery store, scores of Americans just cannot afford to make ends meet. And now look at this, pay higher prices.
Yeah, and look, gas is back above $4 a gallon. And so, yeah, this is a tax on middle income and lower income individuals. It makes it much more difficult for them on a day-to-day basis to afford their basic necessities. This does really little for anyone, including the federal government, because once these tariffs get challenged again in the future, they may have to refund these. And so we go where the government collects a couple $100 billion, then they give back a couple $100 billion. The American consumer pays more, and then they never get a break because the prices don't come back down after the tariffs are unwound. And so I don't understand the president's economic philosophies in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we've got a war that's making energy prices go up. We've got tariffs. We've got a whole host of policies that are actually raising inflation, hurting the economy, hurting the manufacturing sector, and doing nothing for anyone. So I don't understand this notion of a golden golden age and that this is the best the economy has ever been. It is patently untrue.
Come September and October, I guarantee retail CEOs, big box company CEOs are going to say there was no back-to-school shopping because families simply said they cannot afford it. I do want to talk about oil prices. They're down today. They were up yesterday, over $100 a barrel. They're slightly down today. What's going on here, Neil?
Look, the war, it's kind of a toggle. When the war is escalating, oil prices go up. When the war is de-escalating, it goes down. Look, this is the most important single price in the world. The price of oil is the most fundamental component of energy around the world. I will say the economic damage has been less than you might have guessed 6 months ago when this war got going. At the same time, look, this is a direct translation to what people pay at the pump. It's the most salient price in your day-to-day life. It's something that you can't avoid. You have your commute, you have your errands you have to run. You're going to pay for that gasoline, and this re-escalation is certainly going to create pressure at the gas pump heading into the election in the fall.
I think prices came down because it was disclosed that the president sent Iran a ceasefire agreement, which is a kind of taco-style moment in Iran.
I mean, brother, please.
No, I know. Believe me, I know.
But like, okay, can we just stop with this?
I know, I understand.
But like, this is such nonsense,
yes.
Okay? That the president, day in and day out, well, he sent them an agreement. Yeah. Well, he's going to do this. And all that does is get people to dance with the markets, yes. Trade for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, make a quick buck, but it has no long-term impact on what's actually happening, whether it's with the war or the economy. The market has never been more disconnected.
No, absolutely not. I mean, and we've seen this, the difference between consumer sentiment, which is near record lows, and the stock market, which is ostensibly near record highs. But yeah, because you have algorithmic trading that reads headlines, you get these moves in the stock market, the oil market, the bond market, based on whatever gets spit out, you know, from the president's Truth Social account, from any news organization, and they trade it. And so oil comes down based on something like that. However erroneous it might be or unlikely it might be, these are the markets we're dealing with right now. They're going headline to headline, minute to minute, and it's driving everybody crazy.
Algorithmic trading has no connection to mothers who are putting gas on their credit card and not being able to pay it at the end of the month. Two wildly different worlds. Neil, thank you so much for joining us. Ron, we're going to catch up with you in a little bit.